I guess we're going to call this the MilesLargeTV 2025 AMA instead of the MilesLargeTV I reached 100,000 followers on all my platforms and I can't thank you enough, and this is the AMA for that. But anyway, so I asked you guys to ask me some questions. There's about 200 of them, so let's get started. I'm going to put the update stuff in the end of the video so you can just skip there if you want to go to that, or you can just skip it entirely. I'm not your dad. Here we go. Hi, can I ask you a question? No. What got you inspired to start all this, like your guitar and stuff and starting your YouTube? Well, the thing is, I've actually been creating content for a very long time, probably like over half my life. I didn't really start doing guitar related stuff until I was in high school. And even then, this iteration of the channel did not happen until the past couple of years ago. But really what got me inspired, I guess, was just like the desire to create and the desire to make music and just showcase what I do and just hopefully that, you know, something good would come of that. Are there any genres you like that maybe people wouldn't expect? Yeah, the thing about me is, you know, all my content might be rock focused and guitar focused and stuff, but I really listen to like a lot of different kinds of music. Probably most notably would be jazz. I really love jazz music, and I grew up, you know, playing in jazz band in high school and stuff. Really, there's not much music that I don't really enjoy listening to be honest. If you were asked to write music for a video game, what kind of video games would you want it to be for? If you've seen my long form video on creating the horror soundtrack, yeah, pretty much just that. I've always wanted to create a horror soundtrack. I think it would be really interesting. You get to experiment a lot. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Any dream guitars other than the American Ultra Telecaster? Yeah, I kind of want an SG. I'm not really picky on the brand. It doesn't have to be a Gibson. I was thinking maybe like a made in Japan Tokai would be cool, but I don't know if they make like a SG with P90s because I'm starting to lean towards something like that. If you could do any drug, what would it be? None of them, honestly. I've never really been into drugs. I've never done any drugs in my life. I'm a very straight edge person as far as that goes. In the past, I've had people ask me if I wanted to do them, but you know, I was never super pressured into doing anything, which I'm thankful for because yeah, I've just never really had any interest. What is the origin of your profile picture? Will you ever change it? I'll probably change it at some point, but basically the origin is, it was a little doodle that I'd made in my notebook when I was studying abroad in Japan. I really wish I had the notebook with me to show you the original doodle, but I couldn't find it. I tried looking for it, and I think it's probably somewhere in storage. We all know where your taste in guitars lie, but are there any particular basses you're fond of? Yeah, I've always kind of wanted a jazz bass. I feel like those are really cool, but obviously the sound is a bit more specific than like a P bass, but I do love P basses. How did you discover Radiohead, and why did you fall in love with the band? So the story of this is basically I was texting in my calculus class one day, and my math teacher caught me, and he kind of called me out on it in front of the whole class. And you know, as a teenager, I was embarrassed, and he came over and he started up a discussion about music because he knew I came in with all these band shirts. I had a Led Zeppelin one and a Pink Floyd one, and so he asked me if I liked those bands, and of course I said yes. And he asked me if I like Radiohead, and I'd said I never really heard him before, so he ended up burning me the first 4 Radiohead albums on a CD. It's on a data disc, so you can't like listen to it like in the car or anything. But anyways, I don't know if I really liked them at first, but I thought they were cool. You know, pretty much just any new artist at the time I thought was cool. But yeah, they really started to grow on me at some point, and especially in college, I really felt like I started to really love them, and they became my favorite band. So yeah. Can you do a backflip? I feel like someone asked me this the last time, but no, I can't. What do you use to get your guitar audio in your videos? So I used to use a Vox amp sim and Logic, and basically just plugged directly into my Focusrite interface. Now I use the UAFX Ruby pedal into the Focusrite interface, and it's basically just the same thing, only the amp sim comes before the interface instead of after. It doesn't really matter in my mind. Is a hot dog a sandwich? No, and I'm not going to elaborate. What is your favorite song you've ever written? So Manic is like the first one that comes to mind because obviously it's just a talent showcase for my guitar skills, but I might say today that I'm feeling Ray, or The Wonderful World of Ray Ayanami. That one is really cool. If you haven't heard it, it's basically just a rock suite with 5 different movements. I worked really hard on it, and I think it's a really great piece. What other instruments would you like to learn, and why? So I can play it, but I really like to properly learn jazz piano. I feel like that would be a lot of fun. What is your favorite horror game? Probably a couple. I would say Fatal Frame 2 is good. Resident Evil Remake is probably really up there for me. Resident Evil 4 Remake as well. You know, a lot of the Resident Evil series I love. I'm looking forward to playing Silent Hill F as well. I think that might end up being one of my favorites. What are your 5 least favorite Radiohead songs? Oh geez. Okay, so let's see. Molasses. I Can't. Just kind of tough. How Can You Be Sure, I guess. I'm picking a lot of B-sides if you can't tell. Let's see, if I could pick one on an album though. I used to not like Scatterbrain, but I wouldn't actually say it's one of my least favorite. I don't know, maybe more Pablo Honey stuff, like Lurgy is like okay. Maybe like the Amnesiac version of Morning Bell, just because I feel like the Kid A version is better. Favorite anime / manga? So favorite anime would be Fooly Cooly. Favorite anime series though would be the Monogatari series. Favorite manga would probably have to go to Kowloon Generic Romance. I Got Nothing to Ask ass. Just hope you're doing well and you're finally happy and healthy. You deserve all the success. Yo, that is not a question, but thank you. What band that you listen to do you think deserves more attention? There is a band I've mentioned in a couple different videos called Shut Ups, and they were a band that came into the radio station that I used to work at. They played a few times and I really loved their music. They were my favorite band that came in. I think I really can't recommend them enough. What's your favorite drink? Not including milk. Did you say not including milk because I seem tall or something? I do love chocolate milkshakes, but I'm not really much of a drink person other than that. Really just a tall, cold glass of ice water is nice. Have you had any experience of playing guitar on a stage in front of people? Yeah, I have, and it's a lot of fun, and I wish I did it a lot more, to be honest. Usually I front the band and I sing and play guitar, but I have played drums on occasion. When I went to study abroad in Japan, I got to be in the music club, and so really just any of those performances is really memorable to me, and I wish I could go back and do that again. How do you manage to stay creative and make your videos so fresh and funny? This is a great question. I'm not really sure. Sometimes, you have bursts of motivation, and sometimes you don't really want to do anything at all. I feel like just, keeping at it and just kind of keeping a fairly consistent schedule as far as making stuff, trying to be a little bit on top of stuff. And obviously I want to make people happy. I want to make people laugh. I mean, that's really the whole point of me making videos in the first place, is just to entertain people. So yeah. Can you make a video about your bass or your third guitar, the LTD? Yeah, I'll probably get around to it at some point. Okay, this is a risky question, but do you support femboys? As long as you're not harming other people, then I will support whatever you do. What made you get the idea or motivation to make the Frenetic album? So first of all, it was the creation of Manic. I remember creating that song just sitting in the floor of my apartment when I was in Japan, and just working that one out. And I really liked that one, and so I wanted to make an album that was kind of just like more songs off of that would showcase my guitar skills. The other aspect of it, I suppose, is like just the speed of the world is kind of a concept that is like intertwined in the album. Are boutique guitar pedals just a con? I don't think they're a bad thing, but obviously I am a champion of cheap guitar pedals, and I do think that, if you're gonna get an overdrive pedal that's like $100, like, is the $200 or $300 overdrive pedal really going to be that much more value for the pedal, or are you going to be able to get like 90% of the way there with just your $100 overdrive pedal? To me, I feel like it's the 90% there thing, so I don't really care about expensive stuff. Do you plan on posting your live performances from Japan at any point in time? I'd like to do this, but I'm concerned about privacy for other members in the video. Some of these videos are very like only club members had access to them and stuff, so I kind of hesitate to post full-length videos as a result. If you could have a signature guitar, which brand, model, and specs would you choose? Oh geez, if I could make my own, I mean, it would probably just be based off of like a Pacifica or maybe like a Telecaster. I really like the shape of the Telecaster, but I would really want the slimness of the neck of the Pacifica on it. Yeah, pretty much just something like that, honestly. I'm not really super picky on guitars, but I do like the super strat nature of the Pacifica, and I just like things that are easy to play. How long have you had that sticker-filled guitar? 18 years, which is as long as I've been playing guitar because it's my first guitar. Could you make a amp or pedal settings video for the different songs you cover? Your tones are always perfect. Thanks. Yeah, I suppose I should. I definitely have ideas for content for this. I'm not sure if I want to do like a Patreon incentive for it or not, or how that's going to work, but anyway. What is your thought process like when coming up with lyrics? It's kind of tough. I don't really know. It just kind of depends on what I'm feeling, what I want to convey. I'm trying to think of like an overall emotion or a mood, maybe a certain line, a lyric will stick out to me that I want to kind of build upon, things like that. I got super into Number Girl and the Pillows because of your videos. Do you have any great J-rock bands to recommend? Bloodthirsty Butchers, Supercar, Massive Fermenting Dregs, Eastern Youth. Did I say Bloodthirsty Butchers? What's your favorite video or short you've made? The one that immediately comes to mind is the one where I put all my pedals in my car and just said something like rate the pedal board setup or something. I just find that kind of hilarious. Is a combo amp better than an amp head and cabinet? I don't think it's necessarily better. It's kind of whatever you're going for. I think an amp head and cabinet is good for a lot of different reasons. You can chain cabinets if you need more volume. You can switch cabinets with that. It's technically less weight, to move around. You can have two different pieces. The combo is nice because it takes up less space, but sometimes it can be heavier. Like my Vox AC 15 feels like 1,000 pounds. I generally feel like if you're going to play live though, an amp head and cabinet was probably better, but oftentimes you won't always need all the volume in the world. Have you ever been inspired musically by a TV show, film, or game? Yeah, I mean, I love different soundtracks to things, and so generally, as far as that goes, there will probably be different soundtracks that inspired me in the past. And sometimes even like lyrics and topically, like, I'm sure I've sung about different topics in a game and just kind of like never really said that that's what it was about. So was there a period where you didn't want to pick up an instrument and felt like finding a stable job was more important at the time? How did that make you feel? I mean, I constantly wonder if I'm doing the right thing by doing this content stuff, but at the same time, I feel like it has been really rewarding. and I love my audience, so I don't really want to ever stop. What sticker is on your guitar? If you're talking about the Jaguar, it's not necessarily a sticker, it's just a little thing I stuck and wrote on, but it says Mikoto, which is, you know, beautiful koto, I think is a translation for that. It's just like a Japanese name that I thought would be fitting for the guitar. Will there be a Death Stranding 3? You're asking the wrong guy, my guy. How do you usually come up with all the cool riffs from your songs? You're just really noodling around the guitar and just figuring out what you like, you know? What's your writing and recording process for original music like? It really depends on song to song. You know, sometimes it's just like immediate. Sometimes I pick up my guitar and a riff comes out and there's a song right there. Sometimes you have a musical idea that just evolves over time, evolves over the course of years even sometimes. So yeah, it really is different from song to song, but it always just kind of starts with some sort of musical idea that you just expand upon. Did you manage to go to one of the Radiohead concerts? No. What is your favorite chords? Today I'm feeling, I don't know, just put it on the screen. I'm curious about the financial aspect of creating content. Do you earn revenue with your present reach and views, Patreon, and merch? I do make a little bit of ad revenue from YouTube, but basically just get paid like dirt. I don't have merch yet, but that is being worked on. Patreon, obviously, there's not really much incentive for people to subscribe to that. I'm well aware of that. So yeah, I guess basically it's really just a matter of figuring out what people want and how I can monetize that, basically. And it's kind of something that going into next year, I'm really gonna have to start thinking about, I think. If you could meet the members of Radiohead, what's one thing you'd say to them? Okay, so back in college, we had this class that was like the art, music, and lyrics of Radiohead or something like that. Basically, all we did during the class was we just listened to Radiohead music and discuss the songs and stuff. At some point in the class when we were on Amnesiac, I remember some guy posed the question, hey, what does the title Polk Pole Revolving Doors mean? And the guy who was like, you know, teaching the class or whatever was like, you know, I have really no idea, but I guess if there's one question I could ever ask Radiohead, it would be that. So just for that memory, I would ask them literally, yeah, what does Polk Pole Revolving Doors mean? Why is it Polk Pole, not push pole? Do you like Labubus? Salmon? Naps? Merp? Salmon? Yes. Naps? Of course. Labubus? I mean, do I like the microplastic-filled, mass-produced consumer slop that's going to populate our landfills for the next 200 years? Not really. What's the best movie paired to a Radiohead album? I don't know. Is There Will Be Blood cheating? I can't believe I forgot to say this, but obviously the best film paired with Radiohead's music has got to be Knives Out. What's your favorite Number Girl album? I've always kind of said that Numb Heavy Metallic is my favorite, but I might start to lean towards Sapuke now. A song, a band, or album that you're embarrassed to admit that you really love. I wouldn't really say there's anything I'm downright embarrassed to like admit that I listen to. You know, I guess, you know, one embarrassing thing that I listen to would be like anime music, but I don't really even feel like that's that bad. Top 10 games series. I made a list here so I don't forget. So we got Metal Gear Solid, Bayonetta, Metroid, Resident Evil, Stellar Blade, Gran Turismo, Guitar Hero, 999, Twilight Princess, and Persona. If you could go back in time, what concert would you love to experience live? Pretty much any just 90s Radiohead concert. I feel like, you know, OK Computer Tour, I think would be great. Maybe even Pink Floyd's The Wall, I think that would be fantastic. What's the best COD Zombies map and the best album to listen to while playing it? Best map has obviously got to be Keynote or Toten. And the best album, I mean, probably maybe like Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer. I think that would be perfect. If you could go back and rewrite or change one of your old songs, which one would it be and why? Generally, my feeling for this is not one of rewriting, but one of changing, and that is changing the production. I kind of just wish a lot of my songs had better production values. It's just kind of a case of I got better at mixing the longer I did it for. So yeah, I mean, at some point, maybe I would go back and re-record those songs, but we'll see. Miles Large is obviously a stage name. Do you mind sharing your real name? What's wrong with Miles Large? Also, wait, hold up. Is this critically acclaimed author NT Laser commenting on my video? Known for such great works as The Sight to Be Sold and the Homeseeker series? What is your favorite band besides Radiohead? Probably Number Girl, or Zazen Boys, or The Pillows, maybe. Black Sabbath, Pink Floyd, I don't know. When are you planning to release new music? So right now we're working on the American Casualties 2 EP. I don't know when that's going to be out. Maybe probably next year, but I don't know when next year. I also have a couple different single ideas for my own solo stuff. So, I mean, next year for American Casualties. After that, then I will start to do more solo stuff. Opinion on Radiohead touring again and that rumored Radiohead project leak. I didn't know there was a rumored project leak. I'm glad they're touring again. You know, I'm sad I can't get to see them because they're not touring in my country, but other than that, yeah, I'm hoping I get to see them. I'm hoping they tour more. How bad are your eyes? Oh, the truth is finally going to come out. So one eye is like -0.05 or something like that, and the other eye is perfect. So pretty much not bad at all. But obviously the glasses is part of my image now and I can't just get rid of that. So when are you going to release merch? I really like the shirt with the channel logo on it. Probably next year. I'm hoping next year, earlier next year. We'll see. Is Makima watching us or is it just me? Oh, she's definitely watching us right now. What genre would you describe your music as, and do you play all the instruments on your projects? I used to describe it as alternative, but I kind of don't really care anymore. The thing about my music is I try to sometimes have genre melding. So like, Frenetic would be like a combination of punk and funk and rock. So yeah, I don't know. But yes, I do actually play all the instruments on my projects and I sing on them as well. All the instruments except for the drums, which are programmed. If you're paddling in a canoe upstream and a wheel falls off, how many pancakes can fit in a doghouse? Yes. How did you discover Number Girl and how would you rank their albums? Pretty sure I discovered them on YouTube. Either the Tomei Shoujo music video or the Last Live Omoide in My Head was the first video I saw of them, and I was like, wow, this band's so great. As far as a ranking, probably Sapuke, Numb Heavy Metallic at the top, right under that Schoolgirl Distortional Addict, and right under that Schoolgirl Bye Bye. But they're all fantastic albums. If you're Miles Large, is there a Miles Small? I don't know, but if there is, we should collab. What Radiohead guitarist do you look up to the most, York, O'Brien, or Greenwood? I mean, obviously it's gotta be Johnny Greenwood for sure. Can I have $30,000? No! Do you like shoegaze, and if so, your favorite bands and riffs from them? Well, obviously My Bloody Valentine's Loveless is just a classic album, but I also love My Dead Girlfriend, Tokyo Shoegazer, as well as this one Japanese band I can't figure out the name of. I think it's just Dots, Tokyo maybe. Favorite outfit, and where do you typically get your clothes? I really dig your aesthetic and fashion sense. And also someone says that Ratchet and Clank jacket. I'm glad you asked. I wouldn't say I have a favorite outfit necessarily, but I do have a couple favorite articles of clothing, and I'll just pop them on the screen now. This sweater is one of them for sure. That jacket as well. That jacket's actually reversible, which is really cool. And I am a pretty big jacket guy. I have a couple different jackets that I really like, so. Least favorite Radiohead album? Without a doubt, Pablo Honey, but, the King of Limbs, well, no, it's Pablo Honey for sure. How do you create the drum tracks for your music? I used to do MIDI program drums, and that sounds kind of, stiff and sterile. Recently, I've taken to using Logic's drummer feature, which is pretty nice, but obviously I would just prefer a real drummer if I had that option. If you had to recommend either Number Girl or The Pillows to someone, which one would you choose and why? I think probably The Pillows, and just simply for the reason that they're the most accessible band of the two. What got you into playing guitar? Probably the biggest thing would be Guitar Hero. What are the top 5 guitars you would use as a weapon? Probably like a Gibson Explorer, maybe like a BC Rich Warlock, things like that. Oh, of course, can't forget the Rickenbacker bass, like in Fully Cooley. What is your philosophy on guitar when it comes to like you as an individual player? I just like to play what I like and maybe stand out a little bit. I will say that I have a lot of classic rock chops on the guitar, but I try not to necessarily fall into those sort of conventions. In my opinion, the more unconventional I can finagle the guitar, the better. Can you wear a bunny suit? Can I? Yes. Will I? Yes. I mean, maybe for like an incentive at some point. What is a guitar tone that you love that you cannot figure out how to recreate? So I posted this video not too long ago, but the Subterranean Homesick Alien guitar tone, especially right in the intro, I never feel like I can get it perfect. I mean, it's not too bad in that video in my mind, but I feel like if I spent more time on it, I'd probably get it there. What's the best way to bring a guitar on a plane while traveling to a different country? The best way, I think you can take it as a carry-on maybe, and they'll put it in like a closet on the airplane or something. The way I did it when I went to Japan, and I don't recommend this way at all because it can get lost or damaged, is I basically separated the guitar at the neck and took the 2 halves and put them in 2 separate suitcases. Yeah, I don't really recommend this, and somehow it returned fine, so whatever. What bands or artists, if any, music do you hate or dislike? I mean, hate is such a strong word, right? Like, I don't think there's anyone I absolutely hate. If you're out there, you're making music, you're just being creative, putting something out there, what's really to hate about you? Now, that being said, I really just don't like Muse. It's killing me, but what is this Pacifica? You're better off asking the Yamaha subreddit, because I don't really know. This is the best question on here. Bro, do you play Minecraft? I don't know about the best question. I wouldn't say I play Minecraft, but I have played Minecraft. Why did you choose a whammy 4 instead of a 5? This is really going to show my age, I guess, but the 5 wasn't out when I got this one originally. I think it came out like the year after, or like a couple months after I bought this one. I was kind of annoyed by that, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, whatever. A new whammy is a new whammy, and I'm not going to part with this one until it dies, so. What is the best Boris album in your opinion? It's either Flood or Heavy Rocks 2002. Who inspired your playing style and technique the most? Probably early on, I would say Jack White and Jimmy Page. That's when I was starting out, who I really love. Nowadays, probably more like Johnny Greenwood and Shutoku Mukai. If you were able to play any instrument that you don't already play, what would it be? I've never played the tenor sax before, not that it's really that much different from an alto sax, which I do play. If I had to pick a different instrument, I mean, maybe drums. I feel like I can play drums, but I'm not super good at it. What do you do outside of music content? Like, where does most of your time go? Sleeping, eating, hanging out with friends, playing games? Not in that order. If you could perform one song on stage with Radiohead, which song would you pick? Maybe like The Bends, I think would be cool. Or My Iron Lung. Or Just. or Paranoid Android. The list is gonna go on. How long have you played guitar? 18 years. Have you ever wanted to get a new bass at some point? Yes, I would love to get like a P bass or like I said, a jazz bass at some point, but we'll see. What are your top 5 songs of all time? I wrote a list because I know I couldn't figure this out on camera, just straight up. So Just by Radiohead, Hito no Inaishima by Yoshiko Sai, Flood by Boris, Trampoline Girl by Number Girl, and I can't pronounce this one, but this is the ending for the Kizu Monogatari soundtrack for the second movie, I think. Oh gosh, I have so many questions. Well, you better ask one. Could you ever see CDs or even vinyls of your music ever being made? Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it before. I would love to do a CD of Frenetic. You know, that would be #1 priority, but I kind of want to do other things first before I get to that. Obviously, merch is a thing. I really am going to try to do it though. I know this is something people have asked for, and I really do want to deliver that. Which is the band that inspired you to start playing the guitar? Probably Kurt Cobain and his Fender Jaguar. I mean, that's kind of the reason why I have one. Do you ever feel like checking out Latin American rock artists? I haven't yet, but I really do owe it to myself to do this because I've always loved different kind of alternative rock music from different countries, you know, like Japan, for example. So I feel like I should really explore other countries as well. Is there an artist you never thought you'd end up really liking, but you do now? I'm not really sure because when it comes to music, I don't really have these reservations that would warrant like a change in opinion, you know? Generally, when I check something out, I'm open to something changing about it, but if I like it, and I don't. And, you know, when I revisit it, it's usually the same opinion, so I don't know. Favorite Persona game? I've always said 3 is my favorite, especially because of the sticker on my guitar, but honestly, I'm starting to think it's 4. How much do you like Chainsaw Man? I love Chainsaw Man. I read the manga during COVID, I believe, and yeah, I just started to love it from there. I'm all caught up with the manga. I haven't caught up with the anime yet. Do you think modern Green Day hate is deserved? I mean, I don't think any hate is necessarily deserved. Now, that being said, do I really love anything modern Green Day has put out? Not really. What is your favorite Weezer album? I always flip between Blue and Pinkerton, but I would say probably today I'm feeling Pinkerton. Where did you buy your Fender Jaguar Player HH? You know, it's been so long that I can't quite remember. Do you like Aphex Twin or Boards of Canada? Yeah, I like them both. Especially, I think there's a Boards of Canada album that everyone knows that's the one that I like. I can't remember what it's called. What was the first sticker you put on your guitar, and how long ago was that? Maybe it was a D'Addario sticker, D'Addario strings? I can't quite remember exactly. Do you think that guitar virtuosity could be found within playing technique and not just out of solos? Yeah, I mean, I feel like solos is just one aspect of being good at guitar, but you know, I think there are a lot of guitar players that I really like that aren't necessarily like amazing soloists per se. How many instruments can you play? Okay, so with varying levels of skill, alto sax, drums, keyboards, guitar, obviously bass. I don't know if you count bass as a separate one. Vocals. Geez, what else? Did I say alto sax? I've also done a bit of mandolin and flute before, soprano sax as well, although again, sax is just sax. Opinions on Johnny Marr. I don't really listen to the Smiths and I don't really know much about him, to be honest. What is your favorite Jack White project? The White Stripes, the Dead Weather, the Rankin Tours, solo? This is a really good question. I probably have to say the White Stripes just because I remember listening to them a lot when I was in high school. I had a friend who burned me a couple of their albums for me on CD and I really loved them. I love all the other projects too, but I feel like the White Stripes is really the Jack White project in my mind. What's the best audio setup you have for vinyl? I believe I have a Rega Planar P1 turntable. Unfortunately, I can't really remember all the other gear. It's all old 70s, 80s, 90s audiophile stuff that I can never remember the names for. What is your favorite Radiohead song? I don't know, maybe like Let Down, Just, Reckoner. It's tough. What are your top 3 Radiohead songs, not including Let Down? Not including Let Down? Okay, so Just. The national anthem was for the longest time for me, but maybe it's not. Airbag, and maybe Reckoner, or All I Need. Yay, I'm first. That's not a question. Oh, and my question is, what's your most liked Radiohead song? Oh, well, I think I answered that. What do you think is the future of noise in music? Man, I don't even know what the present of noise in music is. Do you like my unstrung classic player HH Jag? Well, of course I do. What got you into Black Sabbath? I would say it'd have to be my dad. I mean, you know, he had Paranoid on CD. I remember I, listened to it here and there, but really, like I said, my Black Sabbath video, when I came home one day and I heard Wicked World playing on the stereo, I thought, wow, this is really cool. I discovered Mass of the Fermenting Dregs from your videos, and now they're one of my favorite bands. How did you discover them? I'm pretty sure I just discovered them on YouTube, probably like the, World Is Yours album. Probably thought the cover was really interesting. What are your favorite movies and film soundtracks? Probably Blade Runner is my favorite film soundtrack of all time. I also really love the Perfect Blue soundtrack. It's very just sort of crazy and nightmarish. What do you want for Christmas, Miles? I know you want that Telecaster. Of course I want the Telecaster, but it's so expensive that I can't ask people to get me that, I did ask for some new pants and Metroid Prime 4. What is your all-time favorite album? Like 10 out of 10 you would listen to on repeat? I've gone on record saying OK Computer is my favorite album of all time. Although I don't know if I really listened to it on repeat, like especially the past couple of years, but it it is probably my favorite album that will stick to me, you know, until I die. So what is your all-time personal favorite Persona soundtrack? Persona 4 for sure. Favorite Persona series tracks. I really love Heartbeat Heartbreak from the Persona 4 Reincarnation soundtrack, but I mean classics like Burn My Dread, Battle for Everyone's Souls, and Persona 3. There's a lot of Persona 4 stuff that I really like I'll Face Myself is great, and then of course Persona 5 soundtrack. When Mother Was There I really like. I know that's kind of a random one. Kamoshida's Palace theme, I forgot the name of it. You know, Wake Up, Get Up, Get Out There. Basically anything I've covered is probably one of my favorites. How do you feel about Kid A? I love it. It might be my second favorite album behind OK Computer, or third, you know, depending on... Well, it's tough, but I love it. What's the hardest song you've ever played on video? There was one video where I played Mr. Lou by Dick Dale, and I feel like that's kind of the hardest song that I've ever played. Is Echoes the best song ever made? The answer is yes, by the way. I mean, it's one of the best for sure. What inspires you to keep playing guitar? Is there a specific goal you have in mind to one day reach with your playing? Guitar for me is something that's just so fun and like just a mainstay in my life, and I feel like that there's not really much that's gonna happen for me to be able to separate myself from guitar. As far as my goals, I mean, you know, I always want to get better as a player, so not necessarily favorite song, but which Radiohead song do you think has your favorite guitar work in it? Probably like Weird Fishes, maybe. Paranoid Android's a great one as well. Femboys or Tomboys? Why not both? Opinion on Saint Anger. I don't think it's nearly as bad of an album that people think it is, but also it's not like the best album ever. Why do we, as humanity, play music? Because it brings joy. Favorite candy? I haven't been eating a lot of candy recently, but I would probably say Kit Kat would be my favorite. I really like chocolate. That said, probably my favorite of all like sort of sweet things would be chocolate chip cookies. What is your favorite video game soundtrack? Geez, this is a kind of a tough one. I mean, I love the Persona 4 soundtrack, Bayonetta soundtrack, Metroid or Super Metroid, Metroid Prime even. Yeah, this is kind of a tough question. Are you into any Screamo like Kiowa, I Promise the World, or September is the Only Time I Don't Think of You? I'm not really big into Screamo that much, but it's more due to naivete than actually like, you know, I don't like it. What's your opinion on Pablo Honey? And if you had to choose one, what's the best song on there? I think it's a fair debut album, but certainly not their strongest. It's not my favorite. It's the weakest of all their albums, the weakest of their 90s albums for sure. What's the best song on there? My personal favorite is probably Stop Whispering, even though I know You and Blowout are like fan favorites. Will you do a video about Boris? Eventually I'll probably do a Boris discography video, but don't count on it anytime soon. I mean, you know, the discography videos take forever to make, so yeah. Have you ever been to a concert? If so, what was your first one? Well, I guess my first show I remember was my friend's band at the Frozen Yogurt Shop. They got to play at the Frozen Yogurt Shop. That was like the music venue when I was back in high school. But I think that my first like actual concert, it probably was OK Go. What advice would you give to someone who struggles with solo composition? I mean, you know, honestly, I feel like the more you do it, the more you get better at it, the more you sort of become comfortable and enjoy the things that you make, and just feel like, you know, you improve over time. But I totally feel you on that, because half the times when I make a song, I still end up hating it. And, you know, I've been doing it for how many years? What is your favorite pedal? It's probably the Visual Sound Son of Hyde now. In the past, I know I've said the whammy pedal, but I just feel like Dirt is just more useful. How often do you have to resist buying another guitar? I mean, it's pretty easy when you have no money. How do you feel about Blur's music? I myself love them and their music. I myself have not really listened to them that much, unfortunately, but yeah, I know I gotta get into it. I can't remember which album of theirs I listened to and really enjoyed, but anyways. What are your biggest musical influences? Probably, you know, Radiohead's #1. They're my favorite band for a reason, and that is because, well, one of the reasons is I like that each album sounds different. I just really like the idea of reinventing yourself and, you know, just dabbling in different things you least expect, but still kind of maintaining, you know, their band's identity. So yeah, I would say that. What guitar brand do you recommend? I'm totally biased, but I recommend Yamaha all the way. Can we see a full gear setup? So I do have a full pedalboard tour on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out. I probably should update it because there are some new additions, but other than that, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same. What's your daily sandwich if you have one? Whole grain bread, any kind of white meat would be good. Pepper jack cheese is great. Lettuce is good. Something simple like that. What was the first step of you becoming interested in music? My dad's a bit of an audiophile, and he has this nice stereo, and I remember when I was really young, he played a lot of music on said stereo. So like, you know, I remember hearing Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, other types of music that he really liked, and so that's probably when I first really started to become like cognizant of music and stuff. Are there any tips you have for acoustic? I mean, pretty much just the same tips I have for electric, which is just learn the fundamentals, practice, and consistency. That'll take you a long way. Do you like Depeche Mode? I don't know, I never really listened to them. Fishmans, yay or nay? I still haven't checked them out, unfortunately. I really gotta get on that, I'm sorry. At a later date, could you possibly cover a couple riffs from Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz album, or give us your opinion on it, or Randy Rhoads? Yeah, I figured I should do something like this ever since I did the Sabbath video. I feel like an Ozzy solo discography breakdown would be interesting. What advice would you want to give if someone wanted tips for promoting original music to get more people to listen to it? I don't know, man. If you got any advice, I'd love to hear it. Really just be yourself, I guess, and just, you know, make stuff that people kind of gravitate towards. I don't know. This is really hard. What are your opinions on John Squire? Is that supposed to be like John Fender? Like John Radiohead? I'm sorry, I don't know who this is. What's your opinion on Are We Not Men, We Are Devo? Great album. What are your top 3 long jam songs? Dogs by Pink Floyd, Flood by Boris, and I don't know, maybe some jazz thing like My Favorite Things by John Coltrane. Do you like Lush or all these other bands that I'm not going to list right now? Of all the bands you listed, my favorite would have to be The Muffs. I have listened to a couple of the other ones here and there, but yeah, The Muffs I really do enjoy. What's your favorite subgenre of rock? Probably just 90s alternative. Do you have a favorite Nirvana song? And if so, which is it? It's either Drain You or Heart-Shaped Box. What would you say is the most okay Radiohead song? Not the best, not the worst, just perfectly okay. I don't know, probably like I Can't off of Pablo Honey. What is your favorite Pink Floyd song of all time? Maybe like Dogs, Time, Us and Them. What's your opinion on modern Weezer? I haven't really listened to that much. I think Everything Will Be Alright in the End is alright, but I think the most modern Weezer I've really listened to is Hurley. Although I do really want to check out the White Album. I know that one's a good one. What are your favorite strings? I don't have the box with me, but they're the D'Addario regular gauge orange label strings. What is your go-to song to play the moment you pick up a guitar? Usually it's not necessarily a song. Sometimes it's a chord. Sometimes it's a random melody. It's just whatever pops into my head at the moment. What is your favorite Nirvana album? In Utero is what I'm feeling today. Favorite non-rock or metal group or artist? I guess maybe Daft Punk or maybe like Miles Davis. Bro, how do I get used to the weird time signature in the Paranoid Android solo? Just practice, my guy. Favorite obscure guitar? There's like this one offset that I can never remember the model number, but I'm just gonna put it on the screen right here. What does your warm-up look like and has it changed at all? No, I just pick up the guitar and play something. But I guess I will kind of play a little bit different stuff before I start to get really into the nitty-gritty if I'm gonna record or something. What are you proud of, but never had an excuse to talk about it? I will say that, you know, despite my sickness and all, I have not really been in poor health, but the past half a year or so, I will say I've really been improving that, and I really feel proud of that. Who's your favorite guitarist? Probably Johnny Greenwood. Is there a certain band that you think has a great ability to write lyrics like meaningful and important situations? I mean, I would say this is the case for, you know, most bands. Like, you know, I mean, Radiohead's my favorite band of all time. I feel like that with them, but especially with System of a Down and Chop Suey. It's funny, I was listening to that in the car with my friend not too long ago, especially that part in the end where he's like basically screaming trust in my, like, you know, it almost makes me feel like I could really trust him. Have you seen the Chainsaw Man movie? I haven't seen it yet, but I will watch it, and yes, I am caught up with the manga. Will you ever be doing live shows like with your music and not your other band? Yeah, I'd really love to do that. I don't really know too many people like in my area though that would be willing to do this with me, so yeah, it's just something I gotta really figure out, or just move, which I'd love to move. What is your favorite physical release that you have? I have 3 of them right here. So first up, we got Flood by Boris. This is a trifold, and I really like this one. This is actually a black vinyl, so it's not the cool blue one. Next up, we got Miko by Yoshiko Sai. This is a really nice one because I feel like the cover feels like a canvas, like, you know, painted on and stuff. It feels really cool. And last but not least, we can't forget the Animals Remix Deluxe version. This comes with a booklet. This comes with CDs and the vinyl, so yeah, it's pretty neat. So my question is, will you ever check out the greatest MilesLargeTV influenced band? Their name is Starbender, not Starbenders. Is this a shameless self-plug? Sounds like a plug. What's your top 5 Asian Kung Fu Generation songs? To be honest, I don't really listen to them that much, so I can't really say. Probably my favorite though would be that Tatami Galaxy OP. Yeah, when did you become a nut bar? Huh? What do you think of Joy Division? They're a good band. Can you react to Hi-Fi Rush? Yeah, I mean, if I ever start to do streams, I definitely play that on stream. What is your favorite instrument to both hear and to play? Well, obviously it's a guitar, but actually I really love hearing piano. One of my friends from study abroad, he plays piano, and he would play all these pieces that he knew while I was just sitting there and just listening, and I felt like that was really nice. How many songs can you play on bass? I mean, probably as many as I could play on guitar. For you, what makes a song fun to play? Something that's a bit of a challenge and something that requires me to move my hand all around the fretboard is pretty good. How long have you been not doing the solo from Psychopomp? Probably since I was born. 2 things. Have you played Deltarune? And how do I make my guitar sound like grunge alternative rock? I haven't played Deltarune, and I would suggest a distortion pedal and maybe down-tuning your guitar. What is your absolute favorite song or artist to play on guitar and why? Definitely Radiohead, I guess, but also Number Girls are a lot of fun. Favorite Persona character? I'm gonna have to go with Aegis, especially since I have a figure of that. It's my only figure. What's the weirdest place you bought a piece of guitar gear? Weirdest place? Well, there was actually a music shop like kind of across the street from my apartment in Japan, surprisingly, and I didn't know it was there like the whole semester, so I feel like it was kind of odd. If you could keep only one guitar pedal in existence, which one would you pick? I'm gonna go probably with a dirt pedal, and it's probably just gonna be the Marshall Shredmaster clone that I have. Or maybe the Bad Monkey, I don't know. One or the other. What is your favorite Radiohead album? Okay, computer. Do you wipe or let it crust? Bro, what the fuck? Have you ever heard of the Mars Volta? If so, what is your opinion on them, and what do you think of Omar as a guitar player? I have heard of the Mars Volta, but I have not heard the Mars Volta, if that makes sense. Opinions on Hum, the band? You know, I'm not really sure if I know, maybe like one song by them, and I think it was alright. I can't remember now. What the hell is the pedal radio uses for the stuff and blowout? You know, I have no idea. Some kind of distortion pedal, some kind of modulation pedal, like a combination. When will he get another bass? When I have the money for it, but truth be told, I'd probably rather just get another guitar before I get another bass. Have you heard the song Give It Up by On a Friday? I have not. If you had to get rid of one instrument and never be able to reobtain said instrument, which one would it be? I'm trying to think. My aunt did buy me one of those plastic trombones, like a P-bone, and I'm not really a trombone player and I can't play it really well, but I think she bought it just to, you know, because it was fun. Who did you romance in each Persona game? I think for Persona 3 was Mitsuru or Aigis. Persona 4, probably Yukiko maybe, or Rise, but I think now I'd probably do Rise or Naoto, and then 5 was Takemi for sure. What's the hardest song for you to personally play on guitar? Anything with downpicking, like Metallica stuff, is really hard for me because I suck at downpicking. On a scale of 1 to fish, how much would you pay to suck Kanye's dick? What? What was your guitar learning journey like? Man, I'm still learning, but you know, it's mostly just, I learned a lot by ear. That's, I'm really good at that. I suck at reading music though. Who are some of your underrated guitar players you think don't get enough love? Probably Mukai Shutok from Number Girl. I mean, he's one of my biggest inspirations personally. What tips for sounding like Radiohead on guitar? Use gear that's like similar to theirs, I guess. I mean, that's kind of what I do. You know, I have a Vox amp, I have a Marshall Shredmaster clone, like things like that. Do you still have an amp from when you were a beginner? What's your favorite amp now? Yeah, there's a Line 6 Spider sitting behind the green screen actually. I'll show a picture on the screen, but that's my original amp. As far as my favorite amp though, probably the Vox AC30 or 15. I have the 15. What is the one thing, person, event, etc. that really made you love and choose music as a passion? I think it's really a culmination of different things and people that really sort of just snowballed into my love for music, honestly. If you were to be in a band, who do you want to be in the band? I'm assuming this is asking me like, you know, of all the people like, you know, in music history, who would I want to be in my band? I mean, I guess for a drummer, I'd want someone like kind of jazz bass, like Buddy Rich. That would be kind of good. Rhythm guitar and singer, I mean, maybe just Tom York, I guess. Bassist would be great to be Bootsy Collins, maybe. Singer, I mean, you know, Tom would be fine. I would be fine being a lead guitar in my made up band, honestly. What's your dream guitar pedal that you don't own? Maybe like the Feral Glitch, it's basically Johnny's stutter effect in a pedal. I also really want like a Strymon Timeline maybe, or like a Boss DD200 would be good. What's your dream of your music ability? So like, would you want fame or not? I suppose this is asking me what's like the end goal of what I'm doing with my music, and I don't really like to just project my end goal because then people sort of have this expectation of you from then on. But yeah, I mean, I would really like to be able to make money from, you know, making content and music and stuff like that. All right, it's update time, and we're going to start off with some of the channel updates, starting with merch. I'm hoping merch will be done by March of next year. I'm just kind of throwing a date out there. I don't really know when. I think I can get it done by then, hopefully. What I really would like to know is what people want for merch. So you're welcome to leave a comment down below, like if you want mugs or tote bags, just things that aren't shirts or sweaters, basically. As far as music projects go, I'd really like to wrap up the American Casualties 2 EP next year at some point, so I can focus on my own solo stuff. As far as my solo stuff goes, I do have 3 kind of albums that I'm floating out there as far as ideas go. One of them is a follow-up to Frenetic. Another one is sort of a like homage to a lot of the Japanese bands I've been listening to for the past, I don't know, 7 or so years. And the last one would be a sort of neo-future post-rock album type thing. I don't really know what to call it, but anyway. As far as content goes, I'm going to continue to do long-form stuff and discography videos. I have quite a few discography scripts that are like half done for a lot of different bands that I want to finish. But those obviously take a while, so don't expect them to all come out at once or anything like that. The big thing is I would really like to get into streaming at some point, just hanging out, chilling, playing games and stuff like that. But that kind of is dependent on my health, which I'm going to talk about now. I'm not going to get into too many personal health details, but I will say I've been feeling a lot better. But that said, I'm still not quite at my 100%. I do have some off days and some days where I feel like I just relapse into feeling like crap. Obviously, I'm just going to keep taking good care of myself and just post whenever I can. I don't really foresee myself taking a break like I did before, but you know, if it comes to it, then I might have to. But overall, I've been feeling pretty good, so I don't think I will. If my health does improve, I'll definitely start announcing streams and stuff like that. And I really do look forward to that, and I would really like to do that, but you know, that's kind of just dependent on how I feel. The thing is, I was really hoping that 2025 would be the year that all this stuff would get done, but clearly being sick just kind of threw a wrench into everything. The good news is that I feel better, and I'm going to continue to do what I do, and I'm really grateful for all the support and continued support even after the break that I took and things like that. So thank you very much. This video is fun to make with all the questions and stuff, but honestly, I'm just really in disbelief that I have 100,000 followers in total on all my platforms. This is going to sound really modest maybe, but just the fact that anyone would follow anything that I do and create and make is just really baffling to me. So I really appreciate that. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I'm hoping for bigger and better things next year, but yeah, as always, thank you for watching.